and code will be converted to either Python or PySpark. And this code, you don't need to touch anything. Whatever SAS is producing, if it is a report, model, chart, it is a chart, then whatever SAS is producing, same thing either Python or PySpark will produce. So that's the validation, and you don't need to touch. That means we are doing full migration. But you might be wondering how it is possible. So the possibility is because of our differentiating factor, knowledge DB. And what is this knowledge DB? See, we took entire SAS objects, and each object and usage of that object, we created a mapping in Python or PySpark. That means any person, any industry, any business logic, any version of SAS he or she coded, we have a mapping into Python or PySpark. That means we never fail in any pattern that they have coded. But whereas other tools, if even they do 10 migrations, those 11th migration, those will be failed. But whereas we never fail in the context, in any context. We will also fail in one scenario, that is this custom. Let's say a customer used custom formats or custom functions or custom procedures that generally not available in our general knowledge DB. So these scenarios we fail. Those are like typically less than 5% cases as a global trend. And those, you don't need to do those also manual remediation. What we do is, before the migration starts, we create this custom into our knowledge DB, so that at the time of migration 100% you'll be converting into Python or PySpark. And the next step, unit testing and functional testing. So if you look at testing, the validation point is you need to produce the same as the SAS code, right? So whatever SAS is producing, same thing you have to produce here in Python. So we do a comparison testing of the same data types, same values, same format, everything automatically. But you have to consider a functional eyeballing after that. So that's the final testing. This is a semi-manual kind of an activity. So with these three steps, you'll be kind of completely lifting and shifting your SAS environment into Python or PySpark. Let's say you are not going on a open source Python or PySpark environment. You wanted to move to modern platforms like Databricks, Snowflake, OpenShift, or AWS, or Google BigQuery, etc. Then all you need to do is you have to give us this target architecture and configurations. The moment you see target, you give target architecture and configurations, then we print the target required code configurations, like all the file paths and DB connectivities and input files and the storage locations, everything onto a specific target that you have chosen. So that means even if you are going to new targets other than generic Python or PySpark, you don't need to do any changes onto the target platforms. You just need to run to get this functional testing is done. So that's how this accelerator works, and how long this activity takes. So this is not a months and years of activity like a manual migrations or semi-manual activities. So since this is a lift and shift activity, typically these engagements, let's say you have a million lines of code, it will take 6 to 8 weeks kind of a lift and shift kind of a rapid model. And you think about 2 weeks for the environment assessment, 4 weeks for data and code translation, including unit testing, and then 2 weeks for a functional testing. So in a rapid fashion, without impacting your business, your SaaS applications phase by phase will be on a new target platform. So that's the speed of SaaS to Pi. Now, why SaaS to Pi is different? And then I'm saying it is rapid and lift and shift. Why it is different? See, if you do manual rewrite, you know the situation. If you do LLMs or generative AI, the situation here is partial knowledge to these engines. I'm not talking about the capability of the engines, but availability of the knowledge to those engines is the issue. Whereas SAS 2Pi has a full knowledge base. That's why SAS 2Pi is different. Since we have this pre-built knowledge DB, for any kind of a pattern, we have a mapping into Python or PySpark. So we were able to do this lift and shift activity. That's why it's completely different. Now, okay, since we are lifting and shifting as is, and you might be thinking about like what you do with, let's say you have an existing performance issues. Of course, we highlight those issues during the assessment phase. Then after migration, you'll be fixing those things with the new platform recommendations. All the new platforms are recommending many things like your table data partitions and your coding standards and code optimizations and utilizing of the new features than the old. And obviously all these new platforms are cloud optimized as well, so you can scale down and scale up. So these are the things, very minimal steps that you do after the migration or after lift and shifting activity in a few days kind of a time with the new platform recommendations. Now, what happens to the security? See, SAS 2Pi doesn't look at any business logic. We don't need to open any business logics in the code. And we don't need to open any tables. So that means your personal data or business data is protected. And we don't look at any paths. And we don't look at any database connectivities. We don't change those things unless you give new target configurations. And most important thing, we are not taking anything out of your environment. We will be installing these three parts of the software into your environment, and